Please hang up and try again.
Freak Radio Network, broadcasting from the Lucas Oil Studios. Driven by General Tire. It's Speed Freaks. Motorsports Radio redefined with Kenny Sargent.
We love to party.
Crash Gladys.
What are we doing for the bachelorette party?
And Statt Mann.
I am serious.
Here's the Freaks. Let's go inside the freaking ride with Kenny Sargent.
Kenny Sargent inside the ride, Jeff Gordon. Jeff, do you understand this is the first time on the TV side you've been in the Freak Nation?
I know it. We always do some stuff by recorder, but now we got some video, man. You guys are stepping up in the world.
That's what's kind of scary, bro. You've known about the Freaks for about 2 or 3 years now, and you kind of, well, I don't know. Now we're on TV, blowing it up that way. You can't avoid the Freak Nation like right now.
No, I can't get away from it. But hey, man, I'm proud of you. You guys deserve it. You guys have a fun show.
Well, that about sums it up, Freak Nation. You guys have a fun show from Jeff Gordon. And as you said and saw in the Chiron, if you're watching us on MAV TV or one of our other multi-video outlets, Mr. NASCAR. If you're listening to us on the Freak Radio Network, thank you guys for being a part of this big old thing. If you get a chance to watch the intro to that, and probably many intros moving forward, you'll see a span of years of Speed Freaks. In that intro, if you're, again, watching us on MAV TV, you saw Statt Mann with Patrick Dempsey.
That's pretty serious. That's a great meet.
Oh, it was
People talk about meeting Patrick Dempsey, and here Patrick Dempsey talks about meeting Sterling Moss.
Oh, yeah, all my heroes were there.
You saw Lemmy Kilmister of Motorhead. You saw Dale Jr. 20 years ago. There's Jeff Gordon. You saw Crasher with Scott Dixon. It was the Scott Dixon back and forth with Dan Weldon. It's a reason we're doing this. Coming up next weekend, Freak Nation, 23 years of doing this thing. Happy Father's Day, by the way, Freak Nation, from the Lucas Oil Studios. And Statt Mann, you look at some of those throwbacks in our show open, you hear some of these old conversations that we had, and who would have thought that coming up on Father's Day, 2023, that we'd still be sitting next to each other. We've come to close to strangling each other, probably strangling the whole group together one time. But here we sit, Statt Mann, almost 23 years of doing this thing. A happy early anniversary to you, man.
You know, the first thing that came to mind when I saw the conversation with Jeff Gordon was that the Speed Freaks were the ones who broke it to the world that Jeff Gordon was a breakdancer when he was growing up in Vallejo, California.
Yep.
And he dropped that on us in a hauler in, I don't know, Michigan or somewhere. Yeah, even surprised him when it came out of his mouth. And he said, "You're not going to hear the end of that, am I?" I said, No way.
So much so, in fact, we told Jamie Little that story when she went from motocross to IndyCar and then into NASCAR coverage, pit reporting. And then she got him, because of us telling her, she got him to breakdance on stage on one of her events. So that goes back to what, 2006, 2007?
Mm-hmm. So Freak Nation, again, a lot of things happening here. A lot of things not happening this weekend. Not a whole lot of motorsports going on. The IndyCar series, yes, but no NASCAR, no NHRA, no sports cars. So we're going to dedicate this full show to freakdom and Father's Day, Freak Nation. Speaking of fathers, AJ Allmendinger, who will be a father this year with his lovely wife, Tara, coming up in August. We're going to spend a couple of segments with AJ Allmendinger, NASCAR Cup Series pilot. He'll be here in the Freak Nation. Erica Enders, 5-time NHRA Pro Stock champion. She'll be here in the Freak Nation. Matt Field, who's hunting his first Formula D championship. He's finished second the last couple of years. Goes out and wins Long Beach. The first time he's ever won Long Beach to kick off the season in the Formula D series. He'll be here in the Freak Nation. We'll have some flashbacks, more flashbacks coming up. And with tomorrow being a holiday celebrating Junteenth, we'll talk about Junteenth with a Statt Mann, and in particular, Statt Mann working his way up through the motorsports world as a minority, as a black man, as an African American, through the years of motorsports that Statt Mann has been on this planet. Because believe it or not, Statt Mann has covered motorsports a little bit longer than SpeedFreaks has been around for 23 years. That Statt Mann, you might be afraid to admit how long you've been covering motorsports.
Exactly. I don't even want to know myself. Sometimes I say, ooh, that's a bit much.
Yeah. But it being Father's Day, we will be highlighting some great conversations in regards to pops in motorsports. And one thing in particular, Suave, you put it out there on Twitter regarding motorsports, fatherdom and fatherhood, Father's Day, some of the strongest families out there with the patriarchs winning championships in motorsports, whether it's Andretti, whether it's Petty, the Forces, we could go on and on. What are you seeing so far regarding our tweet at SpeedFreaks on Twitter?
Yeah, you can check it out at SpeedFreaks at MavTV, asking in honor of Father's Day, which family is the greatest in racing history? A lot of answers already. We have some Andretti's. We have a couple of Forces from Doreen, also mentioning AJ Foyt and his family. We have Double M Ranch, great handle, going with the Forces. My favorite so far is from James, who tweeted us a picture of, correct me if I'm wrong, Crash, I actually had to look this up, 2001 Milwaukee IndyCar Series, all three members of the podium, all three members of the Andretti family. Yep. It's the only time in IndyCar history from James. So he went with the Andretti family and another couple more people saying Andretti as well. So it's a very close race so far, I'd say.
And that podium, I believe, would be Michael Andretti, Mario Andretti, and John Andretti.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, that's extended family. Are we going to include that?
Michael and Mario are father-son.
I'm talking about John Andretti.
Well,
that's
if we're going to talk about multi-generational families, yes, cousins are included, or nephews, whichever way you want to go with that one.
Sorry, I didn't pay attention to anything you said there, Richie. Did you bring up Unsers at all?
The Unsers have not been mentioned yet.
Oh, my gosh.
Oh, Unsers, yes. Yes. Okay, so there you go. You can also cross into the brotherdom of Al Sr. and Bobby Unser, but then Bobby's son, Robbie, raced, and of course, Al Sr.'s son, Al Jr. raced.
Statt Mann, where do you stand on this, being the senior motorsports correspondent?
You're just going to hammer that nail today.
Yeah, I did, didn't I?
Well, Petty. My thing is Petty. Yeah. Petty once, Petty twice. Lee,
3 times a
Richard, Kyle, Adam. We never got a chance to see how great Adam could have been. He was on his way to becoming greatness. 3 times a Petty crash. That's Lionel Richie could make a whole thing about the Pettys. I over and above everybody. That's the big family in motorsports in my mind.
Crasher, okay. Where do you stand on this?
Well, hold on. Where I stand, I'm clearly partial to the Andretti family. But I mean, if we want to really span motorsports, I want to put the Millen family in there. What they did with Pikes Peak and just rally in general is pretty spectacular. Steve and Rod Millen brothers, but then of course Rod's son Reese. So there's where you get the multi-generations. But going back to you saying Petty all day, Statt Mann, which family do you fully believe had bigger influence in NASCAR? Yes, the Pettys driver-wise, when you start from Lee and you go all the way down to Adam. But what about the France family? Yep. They got to be mentioned, right?
Well, yeah, they've got to be mentioned. I guess you want to stop and think who had the biggest impact, as like the most valuable player and the sports thing. You got to tell what's the biggest impact. What are you trying to say here? Mm-hmm. I think the Pettys have had huge influence. Of course, the France Big Bill started the whole thing in NASCAR. His son Bill Jr. Took things a great way. Bill's son, wow, how quickly we forget their names. He had some problems. He tried to navigate through television and all of that, but he ended up stepping aside. And now the guy that's making the big decisions, Steve Phelps, is not I don't think he's part of the France family.
No.
And there's Jim France, who had a control over sports car racing, grandad, and wanted sports cars to be a part of the NASCAR world. And the sister,
Lisa France Kennedy.
There we go.
yeah. So yeah, I mean, it's they're huge, but they didn't have the impact on the track that the Pettys had. And my mind tends to think about what's going on the racetrack when I think about racing.
And if we're going to stick to NASCAR, then you have the never-ending debate of, are the Pettys more influential track-wise, or is it the Earnhardt family?
No, I think without question it's the Pettys.
You've got to.
But you could go into Kelly Earnhardt. You could go into all of her business expertise.
You could go into all sorts of ways, but the Petty family is the number one family in my mind in motorsport. People, maybe younger people, would look at the Earnhardts because of Dale, especially Dale Jr. But I'm old enough to remember the old days, like before some of the people were born. History didn't exist for some until they were born.
Freak Nation, it's a Father's Day special of Speed Freaks on a Sunday night. MAV TV, thank you guys for hanging out. The Freak Radio Network. Coming up next weekend, we celebrate our 23rd year of Speed Freaks. We'll have some flashbacks within the show. Speaking of Father's Day, his name is AJ Allmendinger, one of the OGs from kart to NASCAR. He will be a father this year. This will be a 2-segmenter. First segment, talking about fatherhood coming up, and then we'll talk a little bit of racing. AJ Allmendinger coming up. Speed Freaks Pits and Lucas Oil Studios.
Speed Freaks, motorsports radio redefined.
If it's a weekend and there's motorsports involved, you know what that means for us. More travel. More travel means not a great diet. We're feeding off media center food where there certainly is a lack of fruits and vegetables.
Kenny, that's where Field of Greens comes from. These little jars save us on the road. This is real fruits and vegetables ground up so easy that you just mix it with your favorite drink of choice. It could be as simple as water. These guys keep us healthy on the road.
Real, organic fruits and vegetables. It helps you with your heart, metabolism, your immune system. It's all right here in Field of Greens.
But hey, don't just take our word for it. Take Field of Greens yourself. And if you go to your doctor a month down the road and he or she doesn't say, hey, what are you doing? Your health is incredible. Keep it up. Then send it back. Full refund.
Go to fieldofgreens.com. Use code FREAKS for 15% off. And for recurring orders, an additional 10%. That's 25% off with the code FREAKS at fieldofgreens.com.
From the labs at Lucas Oil Products, Lucas Oil Complete Engine Treatment is a multifunctional cleaner plus lubricant. For every fill-up of gas or diesel, add one 16-ounce can of Lucas Oil Complete Engine Treatment. One bottle can treat a tank of up to 21 gallons. Its special additives allows a better fuel burn to help increase your miles per gallon. Expect longer engine life, longer oil life, cleaner exhaust, and less fuel consumption. Lucas Oil, it works.
Whatever you do, General Tire delivers.
The Bommarito Automotive Group 500 Throwback Technology Raceway is not just a race, it's a spectacle.
Here we go! In St. Louis at Worldwide Technology Raceway.
It's time to mark your calendar. Saturday, August 26th and Sunday, August 27th.
Joseph Newgarden wins back-to-back years at Worldwide Technology Raceway.
Get your tickets now at WWTRaceway.com.
The weekend racing is over, or is it?
not on MAV TV. Monday is All-American Racing Night on the network which never leaves the track. Sit back and enjoy grassroots red, white, and blue racing from America's most iconic tracks. Whether it's the precise lines of pavement ovals or the door-banging action of the dirt, MAV TV's Monday night lineup will bring you all the action from this country's legendary four-wheel battlegrounds. Monday night is All-American Racing, only on MAV TV, Motorsports Network.
You're listening to SpeedFreaks, Motorsports Radio Redefined.
Lucas Oil Studios, Freak Nation, almost 23 years of doing this thing. Next Sunday, we'll celebrate our 23rd anniversary. One radio station 23 years ago. Now we're on 90-plus stations across the country. Sirius XM, every audio app that you could imagine. Bam! Lucas Oil Studios. AJ Allmendinger, NASCAR Cup Series pilot, a very good friend of the Freak Nation on a Father's Day night. Pretty apropos that we have him here in the Freak Nation. Oh, AJ Allmendinger will become a father coming up in August. I can only imagine this little guy, I'm talking about AJ, this little guy being a pops. We talk a lot about that, and then some racing later on. AJ Allmendinger right now, SpeedFreaks Pits and the Lucas Oil Studios. AJ Allmendinger here in the Freak Nation, and that profile that I see on camera right now, that is awfully sexy. You actually look like you're about 6'2", the way I have the camera adjusted.
Wow, then that must be a magical camera.
It actually is, because it probably costs as much as a set of tires for you and your car.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Pretty expensive.
Okay. Well, could we sell that and get another set of tires for this weekend?
You put that idea in his head. There
Maybe
you go.
an assistant to your engineer. Listen, the news is out. You're going to be a dad. You're going to be a pop. Let's get that out of the way, man. We'll talk racing, maybe. But do you know what you're in for? Have you had consultation with people who've fathered and babies? Wow, that's weird.
Well, that is weird.
That is weird.
I mean, here's my deal.
Yeah.
This is the easiest way I thought about it when I found out. A little shock to the system, right? A little nervous. I was like, if Kenny can be a dad,
Bang.
anybody can be a dad. So that freed me up a little bit.
Right.
And also, I know my wife Tara is going to be amazing because she's had to take care of a kid for the last 10 years of her life. So should be fine, right?
That's right. You did just celebrate your 10-year anniversary, didn't you? Okay, what I want to know, though, is did you know she was pregnant before you announced you were going full-time Cup, or was that all around the same time?
That was after, for sure. I blame fully Chris Rice for this because it was at his member guest event, golf, and there was a lot of drinking I was doing. Tara doesn't drink. So I kind of blame Tara because she's the one that let me in there. So, but no, yeah, this was...
So it happened after the golf tournament?
Yeah.
You went back to the hotel, or was it in the bathroom?
It was the hotel.
Yeah.
All right. Technically, actually, it was the next day at home, but it was still some residual. So
wow, we're really getting into the nuts and bolts here.
But yeah, it's kind of funny. So not to get too into details, but my wife is very allergic to a lot of things, food. Alcohol, that's why she doesn't drink. Yeah, this is why she's going to be the healthiest person of all time, lived to like 127. But she's never been on birth control either. So we've always kind of went on and went off. And so she didn't tell me that we have our fun and it happens. Well, she wakes up the next day and she's like, there were still like 2 to 3 hours left of when
Hours
of when it can happen. I don't know what all goes on in that system of ladies.
We don't either.
But
she does.
So she didn't tell me this. So she thought nothing of it. She's like, yeah, first try? Really? No, come on. And she was getting ready for a fitness pageant. And leading up to it, she's like, I think I might, my period might be happening right around now. I was like, that's going to be terrible. She's like, yeah. So it's like, she does the fitness competition. I was like, so did you have your period? She's like, no, but I've been cutting a lot of weight, stuff like that. So I can feel it. It's happening. So it's like another week goes by. I'm like, are you on? I mean, and this is a person that on Saturday at 2 o'clock, it's like, yep, it's coming on 8 p.m. Sunday. I could feel it. And it's like 8 p.m. Sunday. She's like, yep. And so, yeah, we did that for about 7 weeks.
7? Because you're like, no, this isn't happening.
And finally, I was like, she had another pageant coming up. She's like, I don't want to know until after the pageant. I'm like, I think we know. So I was out golfing, and she's like, I took 3 tests. She's like, the third one was quite positive. She's like, I think I took a breath on that one, and it went boom, positive. So there you go.
It was on the phone when you got the notification from
from her. Yeah, I was like, all right, well, I'm going to finish this round, and we can talk about this after.
Let me get a birdie here.
Yeah.
Hold on.
There are instances like that you always remember. The first time you find out that your wife is pregnant, I know exactly. We know where we were, but it's those instances. And in all seriousness, it's those instances that I hope that you can just bank, because I don't remember a whole lot of stuff.
Yeah.
But it's those instances that are badass.
Yeah, for sure. It's and it was never like a no. But we never said, oh, for sure we're having kids. Now my parents have been on me for like, this is what I laugh. My dad made this comment. So we had a baby shower, and my dad made a comment to one of the people there, was like, yeah, I've been waiting this for 25 years. And I was like, so since I was 16, Dad? And he's like, no, not 16. No, I'm not. No, I didn't mean that. But yeah, so my parents were really thrilled with it. So we told them on Christmas. We handed them a present, and it was just a checkered flag, and my dad, yeah, that's nice, and we're like, read the checkered flag. So I thought they were going to cry a lot, and my dad crying is just really weird. My 6'2" dad sometimes, and it's just an awkward, it's just, it's a rough cry to watch.
So he did.
So they held it together pretty good on Christmas, and then they told me as soon as we left, they cried a lot.
And they probably still are. They're like,
Probably,
oh my gosh.
Yeah. Sparkle gave me a suit that I might still be able to wear, but it was for our son. But there's a chance I could fit in that thing.
That's true. He'll get hand-me-downs from you maybe when he's 3 or 4,
yeah,
right?
Yeah, exactly, for sure.
So wrong.
That's what I told him. I was like, I was rubbing Tara's stomach, and I was like, I hope you get your height from her side of the family.
But your dad's 6'2".
My dad's 6'2", but my mom is 5. I still don't know how my dad is 6'2" either, because his parents weren't overly tall, and then my mom's side is like, I'm actually one of the taller ones.
Have you guys
Tara's
already
side.
had that conversation of what he's going to do? Yes racing, no racing?
Yeah, he gets a golf club soon as he comes out. I'm like, here, golf club. Grab that. This is
Not
what
a
we're
steering
doing.
wheel.
Yeah.
And make him walk to the course. Don't
Yeah.
put him in anything with an engine for 16
Now,
years.
the problem is like yesterday we're in the bus and the truck practice starts, and we're basically where the buses are, right on the back straightaway. And first truck goes by, and Tara said he immediately started kicking her stomach. So I'm going to try
That's
to hide
it.
everything.
Game done.
As soon as he's born, hide everything of racing for a couple years, maybe lie to him if I'm still racing. Like,
Right.
I got to do trips every weekend. Don't worry about it. Don't watch TV. Don't watch TV.
So who of the drivers here in this paddock, who in the Cup garages, who would be the best person to give you advice, or who do you trust the most to give you advice?
Ooh, that's a good question. Chris Buescher and his wife, although they're completely different than us. When Chris and I were teammates, I always enjoyed Chris. So they've told Tara. Tara gets more of the advice than I do. All the moms come by and like, if you need anything. So yeah, if that's the first one that comes to mind is Buescher. There's a few others, but you know how I am. I don't really talk to anybody.
Okay, who would you not want to get advice from?
The rest of them, really? I don't want to name names and leave anybody out.
Just
but
give car numbers.
Yeah, just definitely. Well, I'll put it this way: definitely not Larson. Definitely not KB, because their kids are racing 24/7.
Oh,
so we're
got
going to
it.
try to stay away from that.
So no Harvick, no Boyer,
Yeah.
no Bush,
Pretty much
no
any of them.
Larson.
Yeah.
Oh, you're
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Pretty much any of them.
Yeah.
The big news when Tony Stewart was in here last year was he's not going to cut the umbilical cord if he and Leah Pruitt decide to have babies. Will you cut the umbilical cord of your baby?
Absolutely not. So
Well, that's exactly what Kenny said. Kenny, that's what you said too, and then you did.
wait, listen, you know me, I'm a thinker, I'm a planner, I strategize about things. I have a plan. I've got a small cooler. I will be in the lobby watching Sports Center. I'll have beverages, I'll have snacks. And after that kid comes out, they can cut the cord, they can run it through the little car wash thing, clean it off, polish it up. When it's done, I'll come in, spend as much time as we can. But I am not going to be in there before that, or they will have to have 2 beds because I'll pass out on the floor.
Yeah.
Will you cut the umbilical cord?
No.
Why?
No.
Why?
No.
Why?
Because I'm a little squeamish. So I've already told Tara, and she's actually all for this. I'll be on the top side, patting the head and holding, like, all right, go for it. Let me know when he's out. Is he okay? Is it cleaned up?
Yep.
What? Yeah. Hey, bud. How
What
you
a
doing?
cutie.
Yeah.
Would you faint?
I won't faint. No, I don't faint, but I might get the.
Got it.
Yeah, and I don't think Tara needs that.
Because the way I tell dudes to practice, cook some asparagus in the microwave for a couple of minutes, and then get some scissors and start cutting it. That's what it's like, cutting the umbilical cord. Because I said no too.
He's going to throw up right here.
Yeah, I said no too, but I did end up doing it, and it was awesome. I don't know if I had any. Look at him.
Yeah, he needs some help.
Good. I'm not having asparagus tonight either, so at least rather
We'll cook it for 7 minutes.
2 months.
Yeah.
Because you're right. You've got the right plan. You'll stay up top.
Yeah.
You still will see some of the residual. You will. You will.
Yeah.
Trust me.
Yeah.
You will. You could be outside the room and still see some of the residual.
Yeah.
Wow.
What?
We're going here.
Yeah.
We're okay.
We were just there. Do you have any regrets going full-time cup racing?
No, I don't have any regrets. I just, to be quite honest, I wish we were a little bit better this year.
Speed Freaks, Motorsports Radio, redefined.
Whatever you do, General Tire delivers.
The Bommarito Automotive Group 500 at Worldwide Technology Raceway is not just a race, it's a spectacle. It's time to mark your calendar. Saturday, August 26th and Sunday, August 27th. 2023 is bigger and better than ever before. Get ready for the wildest festival of speed in the Midwest. Go to WWTRaceway.com now because the first deal is the best deal.
From the labs at Lucas Oil Products, Lucas Oil Complete Engine Treatment is a multifunctional cleaner plus lubricant. For every fill-up of gas or diesel, add one 16-ounce can of Lucas Oil Complete Engine Treatment. One bottle can treat a tank of up to 21 gallons. Its special additives allows a better fuel burn to help increase your miles per gallon. Expect longer engine life, longer oil life, cleaner exhaust, and less fuel consumption. Lucas Oil, it works.
If it's a weekend and there's motorsports involved, you know what that means for us. More travel. More travel means not a great diet. We're feeding off media center food where there certainly is a lack of fruits and vegetables.
Kenny, that's where Field of Greens comes from. These little jars save us on the road. This is real fruits and vegetables ground up so easy that you just mix it with your favorite drink of choice. It could be as simple as water. These guys keep us healthy on the road.
Real, organic fruits and vegetables. It helps you with your heart, metabolism, your immune system. It's all right here in Field of Greens.
But hey, don't just take our word for it. Take Field of Greens yourself. And if you go to your doctor a month down the road and he or she doesn't say, hey, what are you doing? Your health is incredible. Keep it up. Then send it back. Full refund.
Go to fieldofgreens.com, use code FREAKS for 15% off, and for recurring orders, an additional 10%. That's 25% off with the code FREAKS at fieldofgreens.com.
Dragging your knee at 100 miles per hour, doing a double jump with some extreme flair. If you're into two-wheel racing, make a standing date for Tuesday night on MAV TV. Two-Wheel Tuesday will showcase the world's best motorcycle racers on the most challenging tracks. Whether it's the treacherous high-speed ballet of road racing or the handlebar-to-handlebar combat of the dirt arenas, MAV TV has your two-wheel fix every week on Two-Wheel Tuesday.
It's more than just a slogan. General Tire delivers for whatever you do. General Tire's Grabber X3 mud terrain tire offers aggressive styling and is engineered for durability with innovative performance features that are ready to carry you through extreme mud, dirt, and rock-covered terrain. For extreme traction that's ready for anything and rugged styling to match, look no further than the Grabber X3. General Tire delivers for whatever you do. Check out GeneralTire.com today. General Tire, aggressively styling the speed freaks since 2001.
For more than 30 years, Lucas Oil Products has been solving some of the most difficult mechanical problems in the automotive, marine, and industrial industries. From our original Core 4 products, heavy-duty oil stabilizer, power steering, stop leak, transmission fix, and fuel treatment, we have now developed over 400 custom products to help solve some of the world's toughest mechanical issues. Go to lucasoil.com to see what we have in store for you. Lucas Oil, it works.
You're listening to Speed Freaks, Motorsports Radio Redefined.
It is a Father's Day here in the Freak Nation as we celebrate Father's Day. More coming up from AJ Allmendinger here in the Freak Nation. We do talk a little bit of racing, but do yourself a favor. How about this for the old man? Go out and grab him some General Tires. Go to GeneralTire.com. That's GeneralTire.com to find the right tire for your old man's ride. That's GeneralTire.com. Now we talk some racing with NASCAR Cup Series star AJ Allmendinger. Do you have any regrets going full-time Cup racing?
No, I don't have any regrets. I just, to be quite honest, I wish we were a little bit better this year. Mm-hmm. You give all these big teams a chance to work on a car that they really never had a chance to work on last year because we were just trying to get the cars to the racetracks, trying to get parts in the shop just to build them. You're probably going to get a little bit behind. But I don't. Definitely no regrets because I knew there's going to be ups and downs. We've just struggled a little bit more than I think we all expected, and just means we got to work harder. And I shouldn't say hard. We just got to work smarter, work in the right directions. And part of this, and this is what I've always loved about Matt Collig and Chris Rice and all the men and women, but it starts with Matt and Chris. It's not that there's pressure of, hey, we got to run better. Like let's pick it up. They know that we're struggling, and it's about trying to find out what are the areas that we're struggling in. Is it getting the cars built correctly? Is it getting them, just the alignment of the cars, of how you build them? I think now with these cars, because you can't really work on the aero as much, so all the small details make even more importance. Sometimes I do wish, and I tell this to Tara all the time, I wish I could care a little bit less and not have it just like 24/7, like be on my mind of like, how do we get better? More, it's usually how do I get better? That's how I am with myself. I get more frustrated with myself of like, okay, I'm not leading us in the right direction to get us better, and that's me being hard on myself. So I don't regret it. I do wish there was times I could just relax and let it go, but as she points out, I wouldn't be me if that's what I did. So,
do you feel like you need to maybe talk with your crew guys more in trying to find that balance, or?
No, I mean, we talk all the time. I'm at the shop, we're in meetings, and it's not lack of communication or lack of effort. It's just, and part of it too really is, I mean, you look at these weekends, right? We just got done with a 20-minute practice qualifying, and now we go to the race.
Yeah.
So you don't even get time to, if you come here and try something radical and it doesn't work, you don't have time to take it off. Like, you're just stuck with it. So it's different back in the day when you had practice and Saturday practice and then another practice, and you're like, if that doesn't work, we'll just go back to a baseline. Like, we don't have these opportunities now, and every weekend are super important to try something and get it right or get it wrong and learn from it. But yeah, I'm just always going to be hard on myself and wish I'm pushing us in a better direction.
That's from COVID, isn't it? On shrinking the weekends.
Yeah.
Are other teams complaining? I could only imagine they are, because you're right. You need more time to figure things out. And can that change moving forward next year, the year after?
I think the teams that have it figured out love it, right? And the ones that are struggling wish we had more time. I think there's a happy medium somewhere. We don't need to go back to the old cup schedule. No. That was miserable, where we'd fly in on Thursday early afternoon. You practice, qualify, practice, race. Like, you did it every weekend. But part of them shrinking the schedule originally was us not practicing, was it saved teams money because you didn't have to bring a backup car. You just went to the race. Well, you still have to bring a backup car now, whether it's 15 minutes of practice or 2 hours. So it's not really saving money now. I think there's a happy medium of maybe 50-minute practices and you can every weekend or things like that. But it's the same for all of us, so you can't complain about it. You try to be better. But definitely when you're behind, it makes it harder because it's hard to try things and learn from it.
Technology in the series, or actually technology in racing in general, is bonkers, especially where they were able to figure out, subjectively or factual, that what happened between Denny Hamlin and Chase Elliott, how they could actually go back there and look at all the data in the car. From a driver's perspective that's been doing it for a long time, is that a good thing to be able to make it black and white versus Bill France sitting up here and going, "You're suspended, boy"?
Yeah, it's tough. In a situation like that, as we've all been around, we're all racers, right? Like something like last week, it happens. Bubba and Kyle at Vegas, like what they're doing. With the data now, you can't lie about it because you can always, oh yeah, steering broke. I don't know. That's what happened, and that's the excuse we usually go with. But it also the right hook back up the racetrack, that is super dangerous. So that's something that we need taken away from the sport. And if that's suspending for a race and it makes us all think, okay, like we can't be doing that. But at the same point, it's, and I know Denny, when he talked about it, and that was the biggest thing at Phoenix, and he got the penalty for it. But something like that, I wonder, okay, what's the fine line of that, or say Ross and me at Coda, where you see clearly drives through the back of me, or anything like that. Like, what's the line? And the right hook up the racetrack, that's just dangerous, and that's what we got to stop doing.
Is Ross good or bad for the sport?
Ross is great for the sport, and he's super talented. I think that's the thing is with Ross, the action sometimes kind of takes over who he is, and hell, the only thing I have a problem with Ross is when he gets on TV and he does the, "Aw, shucks, I'm sorry again. I didn't mean to do that." I need to learn from that. Like, stop that stuff. Like, you drove through the back of somebody on purpose or not. Just be like, "Yeah, I drove through the back of them." Like,
own it.
But unfortunately, as we're getting fines now for stuff, you're scared to even say it.
Yep.
But Ross itself for the sport is great. He's so talented, really fast. He brings personality, controversy, and so that's what we like.
When you saw the Gragson, Ross Chastain deal go down, where were you? Were you laughing? Were you going, "It's on"?
I think I was already walking back to the hauler. And it's like you start walking to the big screen, you're like, and you can hear the crowd start erupting. And it's like, oh, what happened? So I didn't even realize it until I got in the hauler and I was changing. They're replaying it. I was like, oh, damn. I was like, Ross told him, "Get off me." Like, it's going to happen. So... But I still laugh at that stuff.
Yeah.
Like, I'm too old for that.
It's awesome.
Like, it's great. I'm too old for that stuff. I'm like, it's like people are like, start getting in there throwing blows. I'm like, that's just dumb. Like, I get what we're all fighting for out there, but this is what we love about the sport.
Watching the Indy 500, is it still tug at you a little bit to get back in an open wheel car?
No.
Right.
No. But I love watching it. Here is... My theory always has been about Indy and being so fortunate to do it one time is that you have to go in there with 100% commitment of, I don't care what happens. I mean, we, knock on wood, thank goodness, the accident, that tire, when that tire left, I thought, oh my God, please I thought it went in the crowd at first. And then thankfully, like the best thing that could have happened there was it just hit a car. Lady gets a new car too. So, it's
not too shabby.
But you see those wrecks, and you have to go in there 100% commitment of like, yeah, this is what's gonna possibly could happen, and I know what the things that from that may happen, injuries or knock on wood, thank God nobody died, but you got to go in there with that mindset. I could go in there with 99% of it. There's one there's still be 1% of like, ooh, like, because you can't. I'm still gonna make the moves. That it's part of people who are like, well, you hate super speedway racing, but you're pretty good at it. Well, I hate sucking too. Like, that's one thing. So I'm going to go in there and make the moves if I have to, and if it's got to be 5 wide and through the grass, things like that. But there's that 1% of me is like, ooh, I don't want the bad part of this. And I just know now that that's where I'm at.
Is that the older AJ that we were just alluding to? Where does that come from?
I mean, that's just that's. I think we all get in a point in our lives that you just like, okay, is it worth the risk? Like Townsend Bell used to talk about it, especially when I was working at NBC. He's like, yep, I'm past that now. Like but you can't go into a race for your race team and your sponsors and your car owner and everybody and say, well, I'm 99% sure I want to do this. There's 1% of me that's and that's. Yeah, I'm man enough to know that there's 1% of me that would say,
And you can watch a race and see the drivers who have that 99%, can't you? From your perspective, going, if he was 100% into it, he would have made or she would have made this move.
You definitely could see it. Yeah. As we watched Indy, I don't know if there was anybody out there with that because they were making some moves. Like Elio's still doing it. I'm like, man, like it's insane, especially the way they run now. You know, if you say now, when I say this, the safety of the cars are way more. Mm-hmm. But you look at the way the '90s used to race, where it's not. Yeah, you're running wheel to wheel, but you're not packed up. If you got a good car, you're single file and you're making moves, and it's not this 3 wide, 4 wide down the straightaway more often than not. Well, now with this package, that's the way it is. So you definitely see the people that commit and not, but 500, I didn't see a lot of lifting by anybody. No. So I would give them all 100% commitment.
Always love us some AJ Allmendinger here in the Freak Nation. Coming up next, we flash back 18 years ago for Smoke, Tony Stewart. Don't want to miss this one as we celebrate 23 years of Speed Freaks on a Father's Day Eve. More Freaks coming up. Speed Freaks Pits and the Lucas Oil Studios.
Speed Freaks, Motorsports Radio, redefined.
If it's a weekend and there's motorsports involved, you know what that means for us. More travel. More travel means not a great diet. We're feeding off media center food where there certainly is a lack of fruits and vegetables.
Kenny, that's where Field of Greens comes from. These little jars save us on the road. This is real fruits and vegetables ground up so easy that you just mix it with your favorite drink of choice. It could be as simple as water. These guys keep us healthy on the road.
Real, organic fruits and vegetables. It helps you with your heart, metabolism, your immune system. It's all right here in Field of Greens.
But hey, don't just take our word for it. Take Field of Greens yourself. And if you go to your doctor a month down the road and he or she doesn't say, hey, what are you doing? Your health is incredible. Keep it up. Then send it back. Full refund.
Go to fieldofgreens.com. Use code FREAKS for 15% off. And for recurring orders, an additional 10%. That's 25% off with the code FREAKS at fieldofgreens.com.
One of the main reasons for poor vehicle performance is a dirty fuel system. It can cause decreased fuel economy and actually do harm to your engine over time. By adding Lucas Fuel Treatment to your vehicle, it cleans and lubricates the entire fuel system, pump, carburetors, fuel injectors, and valves as you drive. It also improves your vehicle's performance. It's a non-solvent product designed to protect both gasoline and diesel engines. Lucas Fuel Treatment. It works.
Whatever you do, General Tire delivers.
The Bommarito Automotive Group 500 at Worldwide Technology Raceway is not just a race, it's a spectacle. It's time to mark your calendar. Saturday, August 26th and Sunday, August 27th. 2023 is bigger and better than ever before. Get ready for the wildest festival of speed in the Midwest. Go to WWTRaceway.com now because the first deal is the best deal.
The weekend racing is over, or is it? not on MAV TV. Monday is All-American Racing Night on the network which never leaves the track. Sit back and enjoy grassroots red, white, and blue racing from America's most iconic tracks. Whether it's the precise lines of pavement ovals or the door-banging action of the dirt, MAV TV's Monday night lineup will bring you all the action from this country's legendary four-wheel battlegrounds. Monday night is All-American Racing, only on MAV TV, Motorsports Network.
As a trucker, you've seen every kind of road condition out there. One of the toughest is icy, freezing weather, which can thicken diesel fuel and plug system filters. That's why you need Lucas Anti-Gel Cold Weather Diesel Treatment. It prevents fuel gelling at extremely cold temperatures, lowers the cold filter plugging point of diesel and biodiesel fuels, and removes moisture from the entire fuel system. In turn, you get maximum performance and reliability. For more info, visit lucasoil.com. Lucas Oil. Keep that engine alive.
The weekend racing is over, or is it? Not on MAV TV. Monday is All-American Racing Night on the network which never leaves the track. Sit back and enjoy grassroots red, white, and blue racing from America's most iconic tracks. Whether it's the precise lines of pavement ovals or the door-banging action of the dirt, MAV TV's Monday night lineup will bring you all the action from this country's legendary four-wheel battlegrounds. Monday night is All-American Racing, only on MAV TV, Motorsports Network.
You're listening to Speed Freaks, Motorsports Radio Redefined.
Lucas Oil Studios, Freak Nation. Be sure you follow us on Twitter, Instagram, or therefore on Facebook. And how you doing, MAV TV fans? Got Speed Freaks on a Sunday night. Happy Father's Day. And, of course, the Freak Radio Network, 90-plus stations of doing this thing. Almost 23 years. Coming up next Sunday, it'll be 23 years of Speed Freaks. And maybe I should have had Field of Greens 23 years ago. Well, it wasn't around. Keeps me regular while I'm on the road, man. Heart healthy, liver healthy. All of my fruits and vegetables in one little scoop right here at Field of Greens. Go to fieldofgreens.com right now. Keyword freaks. Get 15% off and an additional 10% off with recurring orders. Get all the fruits and vegetables in one scoop. It can go in your tap water. It can go in your favorite shakes. Get creative with it. Field of Greens, real organic superfood. Be sure and use code word FREAKS at fieldofgreens.com. Flashing back to 2006, a crap hot summer in Sedalia, Missouri. Statt, Crash, yours truly, and one of our former co-hosts on stage with Tony Stewart. You're going to like this one as we flash back to 2006 with Smoke, Speed Freaks Pits, and the Lucas Oil Studios.
Would you please welcome here in the Speed Freaks Pits a freak fave. He's going to be the fifth freak for the next 30 minutes, Tony Stewart. Welcome, TS.
Thanks, guys.
We had to get you out of bed a little early, and it's about we had to get you out of bed a little early to come in here today, didn't we?
Yeah, get me up on my day off here. I mean, come on, why you got to do this to me? And then you bring me out here in sweltering heat. It's about 140 degrees out here already. You'd think I'd be used to this.
Look, Freak Nation can change a lot of things, but we're dealing with the cat upstairs. We can't do that.
Yeah, that's a good point. So we'll just deal with
NASCAR can deal with the guy upstairs better than we can.
Yeah, they got him paid off, though.
They're the only ones that can afford to.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow, man. So what NASCAR driver's jacket is God wearing?
Which one?
What NASCAR driver's jacket is God wearing then?
I don't know.
I think he looked good.
I think he's wearing a Mike Hilton jacket right now. So,
look on your website, smoke20.com.
Yeah,
where you sell out of your smokewear. You got thongs. It rivals the Speed Freaks thong right here. It rivals.
It's a little
this.
smaller than that.
It's 20% smaller than this.
Less material.
You got the Tony Stewart thong.
Yeah.
And you're selling barbecue sauce on there. What? And of course, all your shirts. What sells more on your smokewear website?
The top two sellers we have right now are the smoked barbecue sauce and the thongs right now. They're the top two sellers that we have.
But wait a minute, your aunt won't buy those for the trailers.
Well, that's my aunt, though. So the rest of them, everybody's buying them on smoke20.com. That's where they're getting them.
We get everybody sending us stuff to Lizardville on the Freak Nation website. Everybody sends us photos. Do girls, anybody ever send you photos and say, I bought your thong there, Smoke. Here's what it looks like installed.
They haven't done that yet. I'm sure now that you've mentioned that they'll start pouring in, but that's why we limited it to smaller sizes.
Statt Man, hold up that bottle, will you?
Here it is, smoked sauce, number one. You want to give it? Are you brave enough to let the Statt Man test it live?
I'm not scared of it.
I'm
not scared of it at all. I mean, that
is here. Hold the mic.
Yeah, go ahead.
I mean, I picked that recipe personally, so I've got the utmost confidence in my.
What kind of sauces are in the smoked sauce?
That's a really good question. I didn't put the ingredients in. I just picked the flavor I like.
Stat, what is it?
That's pretty serious. That's good stuff. Yeah. I mean, now I got to put a slab of ribs under it first to give it the good
I'm
test.
confident you will have no problems with ribs, chicken. We can put on steak.
Chicken.
You're being serious because I've seen you when you haven't liked it.
This is good stuff.
Yeah, Tony, we talked about your barbecue. We talked about thongs. We talked about what you did as a kid and what you don't want to do, what you want to do. Look around. There's a lot of orange in front of us right now.
Yeah.
All right. You got the Tony Stewart wear over there that you're selling. So your sponsors have to believe in what you're doing, regardless of what you say or what you may do negative on the track. To some people, someone's believing in Tony Stewart in order to fork up these scoots to be doing, to be on the side of your cars.
Absolutely, and trust me, they don't always like what I say,
Right.
but it's not so much what I say; it's the message behind it. I mean, they know that I stand behind what I say 100%. I don't say it unless I believe it, and sometimes I say the wrong things, and sometimes I do the wrong things. But they know that the passion behind it, or whatever the method or madness was behind it, that it was an honest reaction. It wasn't something that was fabricated, and they've always been very proud of me for speaking my mind, even though sometimes it does get me in trouble.
See, the fans know that stuff too. They know, they can see right through it when drivers are just doing the corporate line, and it's not fun to watch.
Yeah.
But there's one thing that I read in a paper, that your merchandise sales were yours are the most successful right now in NASCAR, if I read that correctly. So that's something you really got to be proud of.
I'm not sure we're the top one in NASCAR, but I know that overall sales of NASCAR sales have gone down a little bit. But we were the only driver of the major drivers that sales haven't gone down. So it's like ours is pretty much going up in all reality.
You've actually exceeded Derek Cope's sales?
Just barely. Just barely got over top of him this year, so I was pretty stoked about that.
And what you were saying the other day was that you don't even let people put insignias on your uniform unless you like the product. Yeah. So you're not just taking the money from anybody. You got to believe in it, and the fans appreciate that from you.
Yeah, there's of all the sponsors we've ever had. I mean, that's one thing that I've told everybody at Joe Gibbs Racing is that whatever's going to be on our uniforms, I want to know what it is. I want to be a part of it. And I want to believe in it before I have to talk about it and say that I like it. So
have you ever turned anybody down?
We haven't had to yet. We've had some that were marginal, but we've never had to turn anybody away as of yet.
Plus, Tony, you never have a press conference to say, see what a nice guy I am, see what charities I'm involved with. You just go about your business, let people say what they have to say. But we'll say it, man. You're a damn good guy, man. You do so many good things for so many people, and the people that don't know you and don't understand that can pretty much just kiss my ass.
Right, and that's kind of the way we look at it too in all reality, I guess, without us saying it. I mean, you can say it for me, but the thing is, you could do 1,000 great things, but if somebody doesn't like you, you can do 1,050 great things, and they're still not going to like you. So, we do what we do. I do, the charity stuff we do. I do it because I want to do it, not because somebody else wants me to do it. I do it because I believe in it and because it feels like the right thing to do. The rest of it, I mean, talk's cheap. I mean, I've seen people stand 5 feet away from me through a fence and will talk trash to me, but then as soon as I'm on the other side of the fence with them, they get real nice all of a sudden. It's like you don't even have the guts to stand up behind what you're saying. So I've kind of come to the conclusion when I go home at night, as long as the people that I'm around, my family and my friends and the people that I'm around every day, as long as they believe in me, I really don't care what everybody else says. I'm going to do it my way, not the way everybody wants me to do it anymore.
Thank you for being real.
It's like the Freak Nation here, huh?
Good enough.
Yeah, I'm just the traveling representative from it.
There you go. Tony Stewart spending the full show with the Freaks. Thank you, man, for doing this. We really
problem,
appreciate it. Really appreciate it.
Hey,
Tony
you guys
Stewart,
are like family. I mean, you tell my twin brother here. I mean, we
separated at birth. There you go.
That's
Be
what
nice
I'm
to him on the
talking
track.
about.
He came out first, by the way. So.
So many things coming out of that interview with Smoke. His voice was another pitch higher. His socks and shoe, regardless, a flashback with Smoke in Sedalia, Missouri crasher.
All of our voices were higher. Why is that? Why is that when we get older, our voices get lower? I don't quite understand that science, but can Field of Greens help with that? Because I want some of that. But yeah, it's just funny to hear him talk about, I got plenty of time until I'm in the broadcaster booth. Whoa. And now here we are. And he's there. He's out of the cockpit. And talking about him, or when he said something about Eldora Speedway is there for me in the long term. And now that's basically one of his primary positions. It's just, whoa, time flies. That's just a reminder right there. But I want to know if you know something we don't, Kenny. This is a Father's Day show. Why
Right.
did you choose Tony Stewart as our flashback interview leading up to our anniversary on a Father's Day show?
I know we talked a little bit of Tony Stewart with AJ Allmendinger
Mm-hmm.
in a couple of segments ago. It has nothing to do with Tony Stewart.
Sure?
No, Tony Stewart, Leah Pruitt having a baby. No, I don't.
Sure?
Statt Man, I promise, man. It's there's nothing there, buddy.
I don't know. The best part about Tony, I remember that weekend, was racing him on a go-kart and letting him get the best of me going. We had a one-lane bridge across a ravine.
Oh, a golf cart. Yeah.
And he ended up going for, I think his second championship was his second or third championship after that week. Won like 5 races in a row.
Yes.
But the second memory of that is that barbecue sauce was delicious. I don't know if he still makes it. Maybe I do. That memory of that. I got a couple of bottles and I used it on just about everything. Yeah, that was some good stuff.
Suave, your take on seeing the Freaks 17 years ago with Tony Stewart?
It's funny. I actually looked on Tony's website. He no longer sells the smoke thongs, which is very disappointing because I wanted to buy one. And he no longer sells the barbecue sauce either. So not only is he out of the driving business, he's out of the thong business, and he's out of the barbecue sauce business. Tony, you've changed, buddy.
He's going legit. What's that about?
Oh, Freak Nation, it's fantastic. With these last 23 years of doing this, the archives that we have are there's no one out there that has the variety of archives, video and audio. There's no one. I don't care who you are, ESPN, Fox, NASCAR, NBC. No one has the variety that we have over the last 23 years, Freak Nation. Speaking of variety, coming up in the second hour, Matt Field, Formula D pilot, going for his first championship, finishing in the 2 spot the last couple of years. He'll be joining us coming up to kick off the second hour. Also, 5-time NHRA Pro Stock champion Erica Enders will be here in the Freak Nation. We'll have another flashback for you. And tomorrow being Junteenth, got some conversation about Junteenth coming up in the second hour of the Freaks. Make sure you're a part of this big old thing. Happy Father's Day. More Freaks coming up. Speed Freak Pits and the Lucas Oil Studios.
Speed Freaks, Motorsports Radio, redefined.
From the labs at Lucas Oil Products, Lucas Oil Complete Engine Treatment is a multifunctional cleaner plus lubricant. For every fill-up of gas or diesel, add 1 16-ounce can of Lucas Oil Complete Engine Treatment. 1 bottle can treat a tank of up to 21 gallons. Its special additives allows a better fuel burn to help increase your miles per gallon. Expect longer engine life, longer oil life, cleaner exhaust, and less fuel consumption. Lucas Oil, it works.
If it's a weekend and there's motorsports involved, you know what that means for us. More travel. More travel means not a great diet. We're feeding off media center food where there certainly is a lack of fruits and vegetables.
Kenny, that's where Field of Greens comes from. These little jars save us on the road. This is real fruits and vegetables ground up so easy that you just mix it with your favorite drink of choice. It could be as simple as water. These guys keep us healthy on the road.
Real, organic fruits and vegetables. It helps you with your heart, metabolism, your immune system. It's all right here in Field of Greens.
But hey, don't just take our word for it. Take Field of Greens yourself. And if you go to your doctor a month down the road and he or she doesn't say, hey, what are you doing? Your health is incredible. Keep it up. Then send it back. Full refund.
Go to fieldofgreens.com, use code FREAKS for 15% off, and for recurring orders, an additional 10%. That's 25% off with the code FREAKS at fieldofgreens.com.
The weekend racing is over, or is it? Not on MAV TV. Monday is All-American Racing Night on the network which never leaves the track. Sit back and enjoy grassroots red, white, and blue racing from America's most iconic tracks. Whether it's the precise lines of pavement ovals or the door-banging action of the dirt, MAV TV's Monday night lineup will bring you all the action from this country's legendary four-wheel battlegrounds. Monday night is All-American Racing, only on MAV TV, Motorsports Network.
whatever you do, General Tire delivers.
Are you worried about your taxes? Okay, so I'm talking to those of you out there that have not filed in a few years with the IRS or state. It's time to get worried, and here's why. The IRS is getting back from their own COVID lockdown, and they're hiring more enforcers, and they're going to come after people that owe taxes. So if you're a 1099 worker, and maybe you just plain forgot to file your taxes, you need to call the professionals right now at the Tax Helpline. They are experts at knowing the tax regulations, and their goal is to help you pay as little as possible. Call right now and get a 100% free tax evaluation. Remember, before the IRS knocks on your door, knock on our door. If you owe $10,000 or more in back taxes, make this free call right now.
Call Texas 321 now at 800-808-9443. 800-808-9443. That's 800-808-9443.
The Bommarito Automotive Group 500 at Worldwide Technology Raceway is not just a race, it's a spectacle. It's time to mark your calendar. Saturday, August 26th and Sunday, August 27th. 2023 is bigger and better than ever before. Get ready for the wildest festival of speed in the Midwest. Go to WWTRaceway.com now because the first deal is the best deal.
Please hang up and try again.
Freak Radio Network, broadcasting from the Lucas Oil Studios. Driven by General Tire. It's Speed Freaks. Motorsports Radio redefined with Kenny Sargent.
We love to party.
Crash Gladys.
What are we doing for the bachelorette party?
And Statt Mann.
I am serious.
Here's the Freaks.
Let's go inside the freaking ride with Kenny Sargent.
Kenny Sargent inside the ride, Jeff Gordon. Jeff, do you understand this is the first time on the TV side you've been in the Freak Nation?
I know it. We always do some stuff by recorder, but now we got some video, man. You guys are stepping up in the world.
That's what's kind of scary, bro. You've known about the Freaks for about 2 or 3 years now, and you kind of, well, I don't know. Now we're on TV, blowing it up that way. You can't avoid the Freak Nation like right now.
No, I can't get away from it. But hey, man, I'm proud of you. You guys deserve it. You guys have a fun show.
Oh, Jeff Gordon. That was 2006. If you're just listening to it on the Freak Radio Network, if you're watching it on MAV TV, yep, 2006 outside of California Speedway when Jeff Gordon teamed up with Chef
Wolfgang Puck.
Wolfgang Puck. Right. Wolfgang Puck opened up a restaurant at California Speedway at the time. Second hour of the Freaks, MAV TV audience. How you doing, man? Freak Radio audience. How are you doing? You've been a part of this big old thing almost 23 years as we flash back this show. And next week, we'll have quite a few flashbacks of our 23-year history. It's the second hour of Speed Freaks, Freak Nation. Coming up in moments, his name is Matt Field, vying for his first Formula D championship. He'll be here in the Freak Nation. Erica Enders, 5-time NHRA Pro Stocker. She'll be here, 5-time Pro Stock champion. She'll be here in the Freak Nation. Tomorrow is Junteenth. We'll talk a little bit about Junteenth and what it means to Statt Mann and African Americans across the country, and we'll dive into motorsports regarding Junteenth. Also, probably another surprise flashback for you, Freak Nation, on this Father's Day. As promised, Freak Nation, Matt Field here in the Freak Nation, the Lucas Oil Studios, Formula D driver, drifting specialist here in the Freak Nation. We've had him in here before. We've spent some good time with Matt Field here in the Freak Nation. And speaking of a lot of good time with you, Matt Field, is we as people who cover motorsports, I don't know why we do this, but we complain about long schedules, NASCAR. But when it comes to Formula D, dude, you guys have months between races. I got to imagine this is pretty gnarly for a cat like yourself when really this is all you want to do, right?
It's weird. The start of the season, it really rolls out pretty quickly.
And then right in the middle, we kind of have this lull where we're racing like every 3 weeks or 4 weeks even, instead of every other weekend. And it's hard to stay in the groove. It really is. But I'm very fortunate that I do a ton of other events outside Formula Drift. So we basically had Formula Drift Atlanta, Formula Drift Orlando, and then I went to the GT Radial. That's my tire sponsor. I went to their factory in South Carolina. We gave ride-alongs to all the employees and kind of hung out with corporate and took pictures with the factory workers, and it was great. And I got home from that, loaded my demo car in the trailer, headed to Southern California where we were doing Fuel Fest at Irwindale. So I kind of was on the road for 4 weeks. So this weekend being off at home, I'm not complaining. Maybe you guys are a little bit bored, but I'm not complaining.
Matt Field joining us here in the Freak Nation, flying those Lucas Oil colors. And I'm being half serious when I say this, but rock stars, the way they would cope with the road, booze, drugs, women or men, coming off highs, especially with your season opening race win this year. Formula Drift or drifters, drivers like yourself, the highs of running in a car like yours. How do you deal with the highs and lows like yourself?
So I'm real fortunate that I have found kind of fitness as my outlet for the daily endorphin high. And without that, I don't know how I would be able to manage, because there's not many things in life that I have experienced that give you that high of driving a 1,000 wheel horsepower drift car with your bumper dragging on the wall. There's not many things, right? I know there's stuff out there, but not that I've done. But for me, I wake up every morning at 6 a.m. and I go to the gym and I work myself to exhaustion Monday through Friday, almost no matter what. Unless I'm sick or I'm half dead. That's the only reason why I'm not getting up early and going to the gym. So I think that because I'm able to kind of ride these waves throughout the day and I get high on the endorphins and I almost throw up every time, and then I come to work and I kind of just have to put myself together and manage throughout the rest of the day, that kind of keeps me kind of toned down, right? It keeps me tired. It keeps me just going just enough to get through the week. And for me, I'm very fortunate that I have a love of water sports and boats. So almost every weekend during the summer that we're not out at the racetrack, we're riding jet skis, going wakeboarding, taking out the power boat, and just kind of enjoying life on the water.
Well, that has to help also behind the wheel. I mean, if you take a big hit, your body gets jarred in the cockpit. Your fitness level clearly helps you to recuperate for the next day.
Man, and more than anything, I think the physical side of things is not quite as demanding as in a drift car as like a sprint car, right? Those guys are straight up athletes, right? Gladiators. For us, it's not quite as bad unless we do take a big hit. But for me, it's the mental game, right? It's knowing that you can go to that point of exhaustion, because a lot of times we have night events and our last battle might be at 11:30 p.m. and we've already been up and doing things and autograph signings and practice for the last 12 or 13 hours. So that's where I really think it comes into play. It's like you got to have that last little bit of energy to push through the finish.
Wow, Matt Field, Formula Drift, this is 20th year. The sport has come so far. It used to be guys could drive or flat tow their cars to the event, compete, and go home. Now it takes an awful lot. You have a Corvette. You're one of the only ones that I've seen, and I've watched all 20 years of Formula Drift.
Wow.
You're the only ones that I've seen that has made a Corvette work. How'd that happen?
You know, I've been a Chevy guy for a long time, and that's because of my dad. My dad is a Chevy racing kind of guy through and through since he can remember even. So I always had Nissans and I had some BMWs, but we would always put a Chevy LS in it. And actually Part Shop Max, the guys who make these suspension parts right here, they were like also wanting to kind of expand and build something else. And it was kind of reaching the end of it. My S14, my 240 SX was kind of reaching the end of its life. It's been banged up a bunch. It's been crumpled like a sheet of paper and straightened back out at the frame machine 5 or 6 times. So it was just kind of time to build something different. And we decided, we're like, why are we going to buy one of these cars that you have to put a LS in anyways? Why don't we just get one of the cars that come with an LS and start from there? I've never been a huge Camaro guy. And to be honest, I was definitely not a Corvette guy, but I was like, if I was going to choose one of the two, I guess Corvette. I don't know. I don't even know how either of them drive, let alone drift. And it's funny because now you fast forward, and I truly think that the Corvette is the pinnacle of drifting. I think that just starting with a sports car versus starting with an economy car and making it into a sports car and putting 1,000 horsepower and converting it to rear wheel drive, obviously there's people who make that work. I was kind of trying to bring a different chassis to the drifting world. And because at the end of the day, it's all about the partners, right? My partners want to sell parts. My partners want to sell tires. So I think that we kind of created a niche that enabled a lot of my partners to sell parts. And at the end of the day, that's what it's all about, right? That's why we get money to go racing, is to show some ROI. And I think that the Corvette, before anything, was a great ROI platform. And then now I've been driving a Corvette for 6 years, and now I'm just like, thank goodness we made that decision, because it actually is that good.
It is Father's Day. Statt Man Crash, yours truly. Our fathers played an important role in what we do as a profession. What about you? Where does your dad fit in for where you sit right now?
I feel incredibly fortunate because I get to do something that me and my dad both love. But it kind of all started out, my dad did mud bog racing. He's always had a normal job, and racing was his getaway, his fun, his passion. And he did mud bog racing when it was real popular, all up and down California, won some races, got paid to do it. You know, it was a cool time for him, but still had a normal job, right? And when I was real young, I started quarter midget racing. And for those of you guys who don't know, it's like a tiny little miniature sprint car, right? And my dad put me in one of those cars because there was a local speedway, Bayland Speedway, right next to our house, you know, within 30 minutes. So it was a form of racing that I could do that my parents thought was safe enough. They were big roll cage advocates. And I mean, I get it. And I loved it for sure. But eventually I kind of got to the point where I told my dad, I'm like, Dad, I'm bored of going around in a circle. I told him that. I'm like 8 years old or 9 years old. I'm tired of going around in a circle, Dad. I don't want to do this anymore. So I kind of stepped away from racing a little bit. And my dad, meanwhile, this whole thing was still doing off-road racing. I started working on the pit crew with him and started prepping the race truck. And then I think you can get in on off-road vehicle when you're like 14 and a half or something like that, pretty young, 15 with parents' consent. So then I started riding with him, which kind of transitioned to splitting driving duties with him. And then I kind of got into drifting. So for me, my dad kind of taught me everything that I knew. Man, it's all due to racing. That's it. That's what we bond over, and that's what we love. And I wouldn't have it any other way.
Freak Nation is a great follow on Instagram. Make sure you follow Matt Field. On his way, okay, he's looking for his first Formula D championship.
He was second last year, right? Come on.
2 years in a row. I'm done with that. I'm done with second place.
No more bridesmaid.
Matt, thank you for doing this, my friend. It's always fantastic when you roll in the Freak Nation Lucas Oil Studios, buddy.
You guys are awesome. Good to hear from you guys, and I'm sure I'll see you next time.
And coming up next in the Freak Nation, 5-time NHRA Pro Stock champion Erica Enders. That's next. Speed Freaks Pits and the Lucas Oil Studios.
Speed Freaks, Motorsports Radio, redefined.
If it's a weekend and there's motorsports involved, you know what that means for us. More travel. More travel means not a great diet. We're feeding off media center food where there certainly is a lack of fruits and vegetables.
Kenny, that's where Field of Greens comes from. These little jars save us on the road. This is real fruits and vegetables ground up so easy that you just mix it with your favorite drink of choice. It could be as simple as water. These guys keep us healthy on the road.
Real organic fruits and vegetables. It helps you with your heart, metabolism, your immune system. It's all right here in Field of Greens.
But hey, don't just take our word for it. Take Field of Greens yourself. And if you go to your doctor a month down the road and he or she doesn't say, hey, what are you doing? Your health is incredible. Keep it up. Then send it back. Full refund.
Go to fieldofgreens.com. Use code FREAKS for 15% off. And for recurring orders, an additional 10%. That's 25% off with the code FREAKS at fieldofgreens.com.
From the labs at Lucas Oil Products, Lucas Oil Complete Engine Treatment is a multifunctional cleaner plus lubricant. For every fill-up of gas or diesel, add one 16-ounce can of Lucas Oil Complete Engine Treatment. One bottle can treat a tank of up to 21 gallons. Its special additives allows a better fuel burn to help increase your miles per gallon. Expect longer engine life, longer oil life, cleaner exhaust, and less fuel consumption. Lucas Oil, it works.
Whatever you do, General Tire delivers.
The Bommarito Automotive Group 500 Worldwide Technology Raceway is not just a race, it's a spectacle.
Here we go! In St. Louis at Worldwide Technology Raceway.
It's time to mark your calendar. Saturday, August 26th and Sunday, August 27th.
Joseph Newgarden wins back-to-back years at Worldwide Technology Raceway.
Get your tickets now at www.raceway.com.
The weekend racing is over, or is it? Not on MAV TV. Monday is All-American Racing Night on the network which never leaves the track. Sit back and enjoy grassroots red, white, and blue racing from America's most iconic tracks. Whether it's the precise lines of pavement ovals or the door-banging action of the dirt, MAV TV's Monday night lineup will bring you all the action from this country's legendary four-wheel battlegrounds. Monday night is All-American Racing, only on MAV TV, Motorsports Network.
You're listening to Speed Freaks, Motorsports Radio Redefined.
Freak Nation, coming up in moments. 5-time NHRA Pro Stock Champion Erica Enders. She'll be here in the Lucas Oil Studios. But another reminder, man, if you travel like I do, go to fieldofgreens.com and check out their line of products to keep you happy on the road. Real organic superfood. All your fruits and vegetables right here. I travel so much, I miss out on those fruits and vegetables. One scoop takes care of it. Full servings of fruits and vegetables, antioxidant power, boosted immunity, heart health, liver health, my metabolism. Bam! It's all right there. Go to fieldofgreens.com, code word freaks. That's fieldofgreens.com, code word freaks, and get 15% off right now. Badass. Her name is Erica Enders, 5-time NHRA Pro Stock Champion. We caught up with her at Worldwide Technology Raceway during the NASCAR race. And at a track, when she runs there at NHRA, nobody has more wins at Worldwide Technology Raceway than Erica Enders. Is it in the water? Is it the comfortability of that track? What is it, Erica Enders?
Such a weird deal. Like, there are certain facilities you roll in the gate and you know you're going to do well, and you do well. Like, St. Louis is that way, Vegas is that way, Bristol's that way. And then on the other side of things, we have tracks like I'd rather go on vacation than go race at the Gator Nationals. I love the Gator Nationals, but I think we've exited first round the last 3 years in a row there with a championship contending car. Just no luck in Gainesville, no luck in Sonoma, no luck in Reading. But we won Sonoma and Reading last year, so we finally broke the curse. So it's just weird. You have good tracks and you have not so great tracks.
Is that a mental thing, or is there something with the asphalt or the concrete or the starting line or the staging lanes?
I don't know. I mean, I feel like my crew chiefs and my tuners have a really good handle no matter where we go. They're awesome at their jobs. I tend to be pretty decent behind the wheel most times.
Yeah, you're only, a 5-time champion? Yeah, okay.
Yeah, well, but it could get mental. You know, like when we roll into Reading last year, or 2021, I'm like, if we can just get out of here with a semifinal finish, like, I'm okay with, I want to win everywhere I go, but if we can exit here being the first race of the countdown, getting to the semis, like, I'll be freaking happy. But we ended up winning the race, so that was awesome. But usually we go out first round there, so it definitely could be mental, but try not to let it get to that point.
We like to simplify things here, and there are rooms in my house that I feel better in than I do in other rooms. We do.
Yeah,
and there's places I like to sit at a restaurant and sit a certain way at a restaurant. I want my back to the wall.
Right.
I'm
like my dad.
Yeah, right. I'm dumbing it down a little bit. But is it similar to that, where you just feel better?
You do. You feel better. We have a great handle on our car here, and the time of year that we race, it's just our package, we're really good in the summer and in the heat. So as much as I don't like that as a driver, I'm not too fond of sweating, but it's freaking hot here when we race, but we always do well. Mm-hmm.
How do you balance that mentally with drinking water all the time, eating healthy, trying not to get upset at how hot it is because you know it's going to make you fast in the car.
Yeah, it's definitely a challenge. You got to control what you put in your body because it's fuel. If you put good fuel in your body, you operate better. If you put crappy fuel in, you don't feel quite as good. So it's tough in the summer months because your stomach is like full of liquid because you're drinking so much water. So at those tracks, I try to like find a IV company that'll come out and give us an IV, and sometimes the tracks have a medical facility, but just stay hydrated, and it helps you to keep your focus because if you start to feel lethargic, then your reaction times aren't good. And we do the whole ice towel cup of water down your fire suit when you're buckling in. Just if you can shock your body and get your heart rate right, it's all very important. It plays a role in everything.
Let me dumb it down again, Eric Anders. When you come to a track and it's cloudy or it's sunny, the quicker you realize there's not a god thing you can do about it, the better.
The better.
And have you sought a mental coach?
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Talk about it.
Sports psychologist, and then on the other side of that, our dad. We grew up in a really positive environment house, and before he made his money in business, he was a positive mental attitude coach. So we grew up not going to classes, but having it instilled in our brains. So I definitely attribute a lot of our success to him and my mental toughness to him because, he always tells us, he was in the military, you can do anything you want for 60 seconds, for 90 seconds, for 10 minutes. Like you just have to make that checklist in your head and do it.
When you have an off weekend like this, but all your other compadres, Funny Car, Top Fuel, they're racing.
They are.
Do you pay attention to it? And I ask that for a reason because this is my job, hanging out at a motorsports event. My days off, I want to be somewhere the furthest away from what I do.
I'm with you. Yeah. Well, I didn't really realize yesterday was Friday, so we were at the shop working, but I was on my way to work and I was getting like updates on my phone, and we get to the shop and of course all my boneheads, they have a laptop up with the live feed and we're watching Pro Mod and they're throwing $5, they're making bets. So yes, we pay attention to it to a certain extent, but like having the opportunity to come to this race with my sister on an off weekend, like we vowed that we were going to have fun and not treat it as work. And what a cool opportunity to come watch the truck race and the Xfinity race and the NASCAR race. It's pretty exciting for a bunch of straight line people.
Are you cool going from those 10 years in a pro stock car?
Yeah, I mean, I'm okay with it, but I said in my championship speech this last year, like I'm getting close. I'm not there yet, but it's definitely on my mind. You guys know, I mean, you do the grueling schedule and you travel all the time and you spend more time with people in your racing family than you do with your family at home, and so that part of it is definitely challenging. And I never thought I wouldn't have a family, and I'm getting to that age where like, you're getting kind of old. So I don't really know, to answer your question. I could, yeah, and I don't think there's any reason why we would stop kicking butt or being successful, especially with the team that I'm with and the guys that I have. So I could go as long as I want, but I do want a normal life at some point.
But is there a goal in life, racing life for you, in that you want to beat certain records, or you'll just know, I'm done. I don't care about the numbers, the race wins, the championships. You just want to be done when you're done.
Yeah, I guess but then you look at people like Brett Favre and Tom Brady, who are the GOATs, and you just, when's a good time? Do you quit when you're on top? Do you wait till you start to suck and you get tired of it? Like, I don't know. I think you'd like to quit when you're on top, but at the same time, it's so hard to walk away. This is all I've done. I've not ever had like a real job. I got done with college at Texas A&M and I went full-time drag racing, and I've been doing it for 20 years. So I'm not sure if I was released into the wild, I would be able to function with society, but no, all kidding aside.
Your sister's shaking her head no.
Well, I mean, it's tough out here with a bunch of men, so you either suck it up or go to the house. And in the real world, that's not how it really works, I don't think, but for normal females. So. Not
Very
saying
true.
You're not normal, but,
I'm not.
We're definitely not.
No. Anybody in racing is not normal anyway. It's a whole nother mentality of being able to go fast and be comfortable with it, and knowing that there's danger anywhere you turn.
It for sure is. And to answer your question seriously, like when I first started, like I wanted to win a pro stock race. Well, we've done that 44 times now, and we've won 5 world championships. So I really feel like we don't have anything left to prove. I could go race something else and maybe start a new not career path, but like an avenue. But I love pro stock so much. Like we're comparing it to NASCAR. Like you have to be as perfect as possible every single time. Like you don't have another corner or another lap to fix your mistakes. So that's what's so intriguing about it to me. Like you have to just be the best you can right now, and that's it. And you get an
And
instant report card.
Your day is done if you're
done.
not perfect.
You're done.
Working with SpeedFreaks for 23 years, many things I've learned, and one is working with a black man, Statt Mann, for 23 years. I knew him 7 years prior to that as well, and working with a woman who's your wife, but in a business that you're talking about that's a male-dominated, a white male-dominated business. And seeing the sport through a black man's eyes and through a woman's eyes has been an eye-opener, to play on words, for me. Do you still, when you walk through the pits or you're in your getting your fire suit amongst the media members, do you still look around and count the women in the room, or I feel like a woman in this room?
We have those thoughts and those discussions, but in a way where you hope to get to that point one day where you're respected and you're taken seriously, and you don't have to dig yourself to ground zero before you start proving yourself, because it's a different, as you mentioned, like if you haven't seen it or been through it, you really don't understand. And it's not complaining about it, it's just different, and it's the way it is. But like Courtney works for Flow Racing now, and having these huge meetings with NHRA and exploring different avenues, like she's like, I always wanted a seat at this table and now I have one. I think that's so cool, and I always wanted a seat at the table that I'm at. Like I walk into a boardroom with my laptop in full confidence that I'm gonna pitch this deal and they're gonna sign up with us. Before that I would have been like, where do you want me to sit? And I would have not said anything. But it's different. So it's cool to have earned your way to have a seat at whatever table you're talking about.
It's been an interesting point of view when, say, someone doesn't know that we've worked together or been together, and hear them talk about Crash or hear them talk about Statt Mann, and I'm going, hold on, man, they're my compadres.
Yeah.
Why would you say something like that? Why would you feel like that? Because it's out there, man. It is freaking out there, and it's out there to this day. So it's a revelation that came about 20 years ago for me, going, holy smokes. You look out in the crowd and see, I don't see a whole lot of women, or I don't see a whole lot of people of color. I just see it differently.
Yeah.
Now.
And that's awesome. There's a lot of ignorant people that don't think about it that way, and they don't think before they open their mouth, and that's just part of the journey. And there are way more valleys than there are peaks. I feel like I say that every freaking week.
Erica, thanks for doing this.
Thank you guys for having me. It's great to see you.
Hey, I believe in mojo. She comes into the Freak Nation, and then what did she do last week in the Thunder Valley? Erica Enders wins the Pro Stock class. Badass. Coming up, tomorrow is Junteenth. So what does Junteenth, Statt Mann, SpeedFreaks, and motorsports have in common? We'll all make sense of that. It's all coming up next. SpeedFreaks Pits and the Lucas Oil Studios.
SpeedFreaks, Motorsports Radio, redefined.
Whatever you do, General Tire delivers.
The Bommarito Automotive Group 500 at Worldwide Technology Raceway is not just a race, it's a spectacle. It's time to mark your calendar. Saturday, August 26th and Sunday, August 27th. 2023 is bigger and better than ever before. Get ready for the wildest festival of speed in the Midwest. Go to WWTRaceway.com now, because the first deal is the best deal.
From the labs at Lucas Oil Products, Lucas Oil Complete Engine Treatment is a multifunctional cleaner plus lubricant. For every fill-up of gas or diesel, add one 16-ounce can of Lucas Oil Complete Engine Treatment. One bottle can treat a tank of up to 21 gallons. Its special additives allows a better fuel burn to help increase your miles per gallon. Expect longer engine life, longer oil life, cleaner exhaust, and less fuel consumption. Lucas Oil, it works.
If it's a weekend and there's motorsports involved, you know what that means for us. More travel. More travel means not a great diet. We're feeding off media center food where there certainly is a lack of fruits and vegetables.
Kenny, that's where Field of Greens comes from. These little jars save us on the road. This is real fruits and vegetables ground up so easy that you just mix it with your favorite drink of choice. It could be as simple as water. These guys keep us healthy on the road.
Real organic fruits and vegetables. It helps you with your heart, metabolism, your immune system. It's all right here in Field of Greens.
But hey, don't just take our word for it. Take Field of Greens yourself. And if you go to your doctor a month down the road and he or she doesn't say, hey, what are you doing? Your health is incredible. Keep it up. Then send it back. Full refund.
Go to fieldofgreens.com, use code FREAKS for 15% off, and for recurring orders, an additional 10%. That's 25% off with the code FREAKS at fieldofgreens.com.
Dragging your knee at 100 miles per hour, doing a double jump with some extreme flair. If you're into two-wheel racing, make a standing date for Tuesday night on MAV TV. Two-Wheel Tuesday will showcase the world's best motorcycle racers on the most challenging tracks. Whether it's the treacherous high-speed ballet of road racing or the handlebar-to-handlebar combat of the dirt arenas, MAV TV has your two-wheel fix every week on Two-Wheel Tuesday.
It's more than just a slogan. General Tire delivers for whatever you do. General Tire's Grabber X3 mud terrain tire offers aggressive styling and is engineered for durability with innovative performance features that are ready to carry you through extreme mud, dirt, and rock-covered terrain. For extreme traction that's ready for anything and rugged styling to match, look no further than the Grabber X3. General Tire delivers for whatever you do. Check out GeneralTire.com today. General Tire, aggressively styling the Speed Freaks since 2001.
For more than 30 years, Lucas Oil Products has been solving some of the most difficult mechanical problems in the automotive, marine, and industrial industries. From our original Core 4 products, heavy-duty oil stabilizer, power steering, stop leak, transmission fix, and fuel treatment, we have now developed over 400 custom products to help solve some of the world's toughest mechanical issues. Go to lucasoil.com to see what we have in store for you. Lucas Oil, it works.
You're listening to Speed Freaks Motorsports Radio Redefined.
I want to say a little more about the GT3 programs that we discussed on the Speed Freaks last weekend. Both GM and Ford are full steam ahead in their programs to build cars for sports car racing. GM has prototypes and is in conversations with potential privateer teams who may be racing a GT3 version of the Chevrolet Corvette that won at Le Mans last weekend. And Ford introduced its GT3 Mustang to the assembled crowd right before the 100th anniversary race. Ford, in fact, already announced a GT4 program Mustang for the marketplace. Quickly, the GT category cars are built to specific international rules. To keep the car legal, the car maker must build at least 10 exact copies of the race car every year to those same rules. Most will build more. Then customer teams can buy the car and know that it's legal all over the world. Car makers often have groups of drivers who will work with customers to make those teams more competitive on the racetrack. The point is this: car makers want to sell cars and not just race them. This is a way for them to keep their name on the racetrack and in front of customers without spending millions trying to win races. The Corvette and Mustangs are historic brands with huge fan bases. GM and Ford should have great success selling the race cars to teams and showroom knockoffs to customers who think of themselves as weekend racers who just like to drive fast. Good luck with that. Peace.
Lucas Oil Studios, Freak Nation, coming up on 23 years next Sunday. Speaking of Lucas Oil, go to lucasoil.com. That's lucasoil.com to find all the products to keep your rides on the road. Two-wheel, four-wheel, but your boat. Trust me, Lucas Oil has the product to keep your rides fat and happy. So tomorrow is a national holiday for Junteenth, and I thought, playing off our conversation with Erica Enders last segment, she's a 5-time NHRA Pro Stock champion. As I said, playing off of what Erica Enders and Crasher and yours truly discussed about being a woman in a highly competitive business of motorsports, a woman who's spent her entire life running against men, and Statt Mann winning against men, and Statt Mann being a black man in an industry that, when you look around, there's not a whole lot of minorities in motorsports. So with Juneteenth being tomorrow, I want to discuss a little bit about African Americans in motorsports, the influence that they've had, who's been the influence of African Americans in motorsports, and kind of dive into it for 10 minutes with Statt Mann to get his take on things and the development, or it's not the development, the progress or lack of progress, Statt Mann, when you started to get involved in motorsports back in the day. And as you like to say, when what'd you say, the earth, what's one of your favorite sayings? When the
mud
earth
hardened?
When mud hardened.
Mud hardened, yeah.
Right. The progress or lack of progress, Statt Mann, of motorsports with minorities and blacks in particular over the last decades. Your take on what you've seen or haven't seen.
Well, it's amazing. In 1969, I think it was, I was part of a piece in Car and Driver magazine where they talked to the race team that I was working on in Southern California, Malcolm Durham, and talked to oh crap, the name just flew out of my head. I could see the picture. The only black man to win a race in NASCAR.
Wendell Scott.
Wendell Scott, yeah. Wow, can't believe the icon. Anyway, and not much has changed. I read that article, I don't know, several months ago, and the issues are still the same. I can go into newsrooms now. I can show up at some tracks now, and they look at me and say, "You're not from around here, are you?" So it's an ongoing thing, and I'm not sure why. There's all sorts of stuff you could say, but it's changing. There was an engineer that worked for the Penske organization, worked on the computer on the stand. There's people who have worked in PR. There's a guy that does the interviews for Fox, a black guy that does the post-race interviews for Fox on the track. So it's changing slowly. And there are a number of, I think NHRA has the most people of color. So, yeah, it's changing slowly, but still people think that they could go and hide in behind the gate at a racetrack and think that nobody that doesn't look like them should be involved. Yeah, it's still a strange thing to experience. And you look at people and wonder, what side of the reality did you get up on this morning?
You bring up the NHRA with J.R. Todd and Antron Brown, dudes who have won championships, not just won races and not just shown up, but have won championships. You've got James Stewart, who many riders today regard as the greatest supercross rider ever, even though he didn't come close to race wins or championships like McGrath or Carmichael. But James Stewart certainly won championships and proved himself. But you get to IndyCar, you get to NASCAR, high-level sports cars. Crasher, I could go on and on. You don't see black men or women winning championships in those series.
Yeah, it's a shame, too, because the little progress that has been made, granted, it is still progress in both, let's just say, IndyCar and NASCAR, just for argument's sake, the progress that's been made crew member-wise or PR-wise is nice, but whoa, what it could do if you had a champion black driver. Holy moly, that just would be huge. So, yeah, I don't know why. I don't know if it's just that blacks don't grow up with go-karting or quarter midgets as much as other people do. I don't know what it is. Is that what first comes to mind for you, Statt Mann? Is that it's just not a part of their upbringing?
No, I think it's more simple than that. You talk to some drivers that want to be involved in NASCAR or in stock car racing, and they talk about going to North Carolina, and they talk about sleeping on couches and sleeping in garages and sweeping out stuff. And there's a lot of black people that can't afford to do that, won't make that commitment, especially when they could go do other things and get recognized without having to worry about, it's not as big as it was now, but the rebel flag, and for whatever reason it was there, the noose on the garage, that was an issue a couple of years ago.
It's certainly for some a divisive topic, and I get it, I guess. But if you're going to try to encapsulate this, and again, spending 11 minutes on this is kind of gnarly. I get it. We're restricted by quite a bit. But if you try and encapsulate this of us doing this for 23 years, yes, there's been progress. But my point is, as I said to Erica, being able to spend 23 years with a woman and a black man in a sport that's dominated by white men has been an eye-opener for me to watch, to just kind of step back and watch how people react to them, how people talk to them, what people say about them in front of them, behind their back. It's been a wake-up call for me. We've got a millennial in here that's probably shaking his head going, why? Why is this still a freaking problem? And we're talking about Richard C. Suave. Why is this still a problem?
Racing is running into the same problems that I'm a big hockey fan, that hockey is running into over the last 20 years plus, which is people of color don't play hockey because it's way too expensive to play the sport. And I think it's the same thing in motorsports too. I think it was Joey Logano who was on a podcast or did an interview last week at some point, and he was essentially explaining something similar, which is, look, if you don't have the money to pay for your own rides, you cannot race, right? It just doesn't happen. And so until that changes, until motorsports becomes cheaper to get into at a younger level, they're always going to run into that problem. And the exceptions to that rule, obviously, your Antrons, your J.R. Todds, your Lewis Hamiltons, who came out of from nothing growing up in England, right? And he was able to make something of himself because of him and his father and what they were able to do. So until motorsports becomes more available for more people to get into, it's going to be a tough problem. It's unfortunate. Luckily, there are some young drivers coming up who have made it and are winning races and are competing. Bubba Wallace, obviously, at the Cup level. We've had Raja Carruth on our show many times, succeeding at the truck level, the Xfinity level. Ernie Francis Jr. Crash, who we've had on the show in the past. He's driving an Indy NXT this year. He's an African-American driver. So things are starting. And Statt Mann mentioned Josh Sims, who's now a reporter for NASCAR and Fox as well. So it's changing, but they have some big hurdles to get past in terms of allowing people to get into the sport at an earlier age for a much cheaper way to do so.
Holy smokes. Nice job, Richard.
Thank you.
That sort of wrapped it up, didn't it? Well done. Vibing and dancing with the truth. There you go.
Vibing and dancing. Richard C. Suave. Freak Nation, coming up next, again, next weekend, it'll be 23 years of Speed Freaks. We'll flash back. And again, it being Father's Day, we've got our own memories of our fathers influencing our careers. Not just in motorsports, but just influencing our careers and our lives. It's coming up next. Speed Freaks Pits and the Lucas Oil Studios.
Speed Freaks, Motorsports Radio, redefined.
If it's a weekend and there's motorsports involved, you know what that means for us. More travel. More travel means not a great diet. We're feeding off media center food where there certainly is a lack of fruits and vegetables.
Kenny, that's where Field of Greens comes from. These little jars save us on the road. This is real fruits and vegetables ground up so easy that you just mix it with your favorite drink of choice. It could be as simple as water. These guys keep us healthy on the road.
Real organic fruits and vegetables. It helps you with your heart, metabolism, your immune system. It's all right here in Field of Greens.
But hey, don't just take our word for it. Take Field of Greens yourself. And if you go to your doctor a month down the road and he or she doesn't say, hey, what are you doing? Your health is incredible. Keep it up. Then send it back. Full refund.
Go to fieldofgreens.com. Use code FREAKS for 15% off. And for recurring orders, an additional 10%. That's 25% off with the code FREAKS at fieldofgreens.com.
One of the main reasons for poor vehicle performance is a dirty fuel system. It can cause decreased fuel economy and actually do harm to your engine over time. By adding Lucas Fuel Treatment to your vehicle, it cleans and lubricates the entire fuel system, pump, carburetors, fuel injectors, and valves as you drive. It also improves your vehicle's performance. It's a non-solvent product designed to protect both gasoline and diesel engines. Lucas Fuel Treatment. It works.
whatever you do, General Tire delivers.
The Bommarito Automotive Group 500 at Worldwide Technology Raceway is not just a race. It's a spectacle. It's time to mark your calendar. Saturday, August 26th and Sunday, August 27th. 2023 is bigger and better than ever before. Get ready for the wildest festival of speed in the Midwest. Go to WWTRaceway.com now because the first deal is the best deal.
The weekend racing is over, or is it? Not on MAP TV. Monday is All-American Racing Night on the network which never leaves the track. Sit back and enjoy grassroots red, white, and blue racing from America's most iconic tracks. Whether it's the precise lines of pavement ovals or the door-banging action of the dirt, MAP TV's Monday night lineup will bring you all the action from this country's legendary four-wheel battlegrounds. Monday night is All-American Racing, only on MAP TV, Motorsports Network.
As a trucker, you've seen every kind of road condition out there. One of the toughest is icy, freezing weather, which can thicken diesel fuel and plug system filters. That's why you need Lucas Anti-Gel Cold Weather Diesel Treatment. It prevents fuel gelling at extremely cold temperatures, lowers the cold filter plugging point of diesel and biodiesel fuels, and removes moisture from the entire fuel system. In turn, you get maximum performance and reliability. For more info, visit lucasoil.com. Lucas Oil, keep that engine alive.
The weekend racing is over, or is it? Not on MAP TV. Monday is All-American Racing Night on the network which never leaves the track. Sit back and enjoy grassroots red, white, and blue racing from America's most iconic tracks. Whether it's the precise lines of pavement ovals or the door-banging action of the dirt, MAP TV's Monday night lineup will bring you all the action from this country's legendary four-wheel battlegrounds. Monday night is All-American Racing, only on MAP TV, Motorsports Network.
You're listening to Speed Freaks, Motorsports Radio Redefined.
Lucas Oil Studios, Freak Nation. Be sure you follow us on Twitter, Instagram, or therefore on Facebook. And how you doing, MAV TV fans? Got Speed Freaks on a Sunday night. Happy Father's Day. And, of course, the Freak Radio Network, 90-plus stations of doing this thing. Almost 23 years. Coming up next Sunday, it'll be 23 years of Speed Freaks. And maybe I should have had Field of Greens 23 years ago. Well, it wasn't around. Keeps me regular while I'm on the road, man. Heart healthy, liver healthy. All of my fruits and vegetables in one little scoop right here at Field of Greens. Go to fieldofgreens.com right now. Keyword freaks. Get 15% off and an additional 10% off with recurring orders. Get all the fruits and vegetables in one scoop. It can go in your tap water. It can go in your favorite shakes. Get creative with it. Field of Greens, real organic superfood. Be sure and use code word FREAKS at fieldofgreens.com.
Inside the Freaking Ride with Kenny Sargent.
James Stewart, a veteran of the Freak Nation. A lot of people don't know that Speed Freaks were your very first professional interview, right?
Yeah, very first live radio. I was scared to death, but you guys helped me out. It was hard hanging out with freaks in there.
I was watching an interview I did a few weeks ago with Bobby Hamilton Jr., Nextel Cup driver. I was looking at my profile on a couple of those shots, and I got a big-ass head in some of these shots, man. Are there angles that are better for James Stewart than other?
Nah, see, I like to do live TV. See, you probably should stick to radio, though. So you stick to radio, you can't see it.
You're busting on the media, dude.
Hey, I'm just saying, I mean, we like to speak the truth around here. I mean, here we go. Here we are. What's up?
Help me out. Left side or right side better for Sargent?
Left side. Left side. Yeah, you can run the left sade.
Sometimes I got to stick my chin out there.
Yeah.
I couldn't wear that stuff. I couldn't wear that stuff on TV.
Because you got to be a player to wear this stuff. You got to be a baller.
And we went back about 17 years, 18 years for that one. Holy smokes. James Stewart here in the Freak Nation, which, by the way, caught some of his color commentary on the replay on CNBC of all freaking places for the motocross series at Thunder Valley there in Colorado. James Stewart, again, a dude who came into the studio. Statt Mann, was he 14? First time?
Yeah, I think I remember he was like 14 years old, came in with his dad and a couple other people, make sure he didn't say or do, or we didn't say or do the wrong thing.
Well, I'm sure we
really fit in the door. That's a huge man.
Big James.
Big James Sr. Speaking of fathers, again, happy Father's Day as we close off this show on a Sunday night. Lucas Oil Studios on MAV TV and the Freak Radio Network. And another reminder, coming up next weekend, Sunday night, more flashbacks here in the Freak Nation. That'll be our 23rd anniversary of Speed Freaks. From one station in Los Angeles to 90-plus stations, including SiriusXM and every freaking audio app on the planet. We've been there, man. And if we would have said audio apps, audio applications 23 years ago, you know what the hell we're talking about.
One station, one mic. We had to pass one microphone around between all of us. Remember that?
Yep.
There was no social media.
Nope.
There were no iPhones then when we started. Think about that.
They didn't even empty the trash cans in the studio.
No, that's true.
But that being said, in 2003 or 2004, when I go back and watch some of these old TV shows we did for ESPN2 or Speed Channel, on one of the shows I talked about podcasts. You can go to our website to catch the podcast, and I didn't even know what I don't think I knew what a podcast. I had to because I said podcast.
Well, podcasting was around as kind of a different entity than what it is now.
Yeah.
It was around for a long time. It was basically just archived audio.
Yes.
Like you recorded stuff like we do now, and then you just throw it up on a website and it was considered a podcast. Now it's slightly different than that, but also a little bit the same.
It being Father's Day, a few minutes from each of us talking about our fathers and what they meant to us regarding motorsports. Crasher, it's no secret with your ties to IndyCar and your father that was frankly tied into Indianapolis Motor Speedway was a significant player for you getting involved in motorsports.
Oh, without question. And, unfortunately, he died when I was 4 years old, but I remember distinct conversations about Desiree Wilson and Janet Guthrie. So, yes, it was going to the Indianapolis Motor Speedway when I was a kid and hearing all the sights and sounds and smells and enjoying just that atmosphere, and then visiting him in the infield care center where he worked. And he was one of the original guys with Olvey and Bach and Trammell to put together this traveling team. It's an awesome story, what they clearly have done for the series even to now. But had he not brought up those names in my young memory, I don't know if I would have been as attached to the series, even though I loved being at the track. Knowing that there were females on track was really intriguing to me as a 3-year-old, 4-year-old, and that stuck with me. After he was gone, I'm like, I want to see these females. Then Lynn St. James, when I was in college, she made her mark in '92 at Indy, and the rest is history. I wouldn't be sitting here if any of that didn't happen. So
curious
cool.
though, if your father was not involved in Indianapolis Motor Speedway, but was a big motorhead, you grew up in Indianapolis, you think that the trajectory would still be much different?
You know what? That's a really good question. There's no way of actually knowing that. My family was very involved with Eli Lilly. So Eli Lilly, they had a bunch of the seats in turn one and the box seats. Those were the seats my family used for years upon years upon years. I would have still gone to the race. Would I have still had that attachment though? I don't know. I loved being there. I loved smelling the fuel. I loved the sound of the cars. I would run around in circles in my neighborhood going, I mean, I would probably still be doing that, but would I have a job in motorsports because of that? I don't know. It's a really good question.
I can't get out of my mind that blue car you had that had to pour oil into it just to get the thing started.
My Cristo.
Yeah. It wasn't oil. She had to just jimmy her distributor, Statt Mann.
Yeah. I mean, she came by my condo one night. We were interviewing somebody on my system there in the studio, and she had to park on the downhill side of the hill just to make sure the thing would start. She could leave.
Oh, yeah. Nothing like, just to be fully transparent, declaring bankruptcy, moving out to Los Angeles, and being a starving actor for months until landing this gig with Speed Freaks. Right. And basically buying a car out of a junkyard in order to get from acting job to acting job. And in order to get that car to start, I had to jimmy back the distributor, open up the hood and get to work.
Jimmy back.
And the car was like 6 different colors. It was spray painted on one side. It came out of a junkyard, for crying out loud.
Statt Mann, did your old man open up the door for you to get involved in motorsports or the sport itself?
No, in fact, was going to a race, Stardust Raceway in Las Vegas in 1968. That's how old I am. and ran into some guys over in the corner that were working on the car, and I ended up working on that race team for several years. But my dad, he wasn't into cars at all. In fact, I had a girlfriend that lived down at the end of the freeway, and on Saturday nights, I'd get in the car and blow all the carbon out of it going up to her house. And we'd pile in the car, big Oldsmobile, beautiful car. And we'd pile in the car to go to church on Sunday mornings. You drive this car too hard because it ran like a clock after that. Got all the carbon out of it and coughed and sputtered getting on the freeway, but it worked fine after that.
Gosh, there's so many avenues that my father provided for me, whether he knew it or not, whether it was him working his way into a press vest at Texas Stadium, taking pictures of flat track riders, Kenny Roberts, getting me out to motocross races with the lights of Jimmy Ellis, Marty Smith, Roger DeCoster, or taking me to Dallas International Speedway, where the infamous hip shots that he would take of women's behinds and other things, and not be intrusive with some of his pictures. Again, remember, this is the freaking early 70s back in the day. But he certainly provided many avenues for me to get involved in motorsports. Drag racing, motocross, supercross have been my two favorites growing up. But I guess just allowing me to partake in some of those, thanks to him and Mom, not really holding me back and only taking a couple of years of gnawing at them for them to get me a mini bike, a 5.5 horsepower Tecumseh mini bike. Or was it Briggs and Stratton? What did Sears sell, Statt Man? Was it Briggs and Stratton?
Yeah, I think it was Briggs and Stratton. Yeah.
Suave, you being here in Phoenix, you had drag strips, you had all kinds of things for your father to not allow you to go to. Did you ever partake in anything prior to SpeedFreaks?
Not really. No, I found my own way to motorsports without the help of either of my parents. But I will tell this story. It's the most millennial story in the history of mankind, and us being a lazy generation. Which is my dad used to work on, I used to change parts in the car, obviously, all the time. And he would try to like show me what was going on. And I had zero interest in it. I was like, I don't know. I don't care, Dad. I don't want to do this. I want to go and watch whatever baseball games on or whatever football games on, whatever, basketball games on. I don't want to sit here and for 45 minutes and change the spark plug in this. At the time, I think it was a 95 Buick that my dad had acquired. It was a green 95 Buick that my dad had acquired from my grandmother, his mother, and he kept that car for probably 20 plus years. And so he would always change everything on the car himself if he could, for the most part. And so he would try and get me to be interested. I just wasn't. I just did not care worth a darn. So I think it's really funny that based on that, and now I'm working in motorsports quite often now, and so shout out to you, Dad, for at least trying to get me into cars. I don't remember any of it, so I don't do anything on my car. I'm just like, I'll take it to the shop. But thank you for trying, Dad. I appreciate you.
There it is.
We have that in common, Richie.
There it is. Happy Father's Day, Freak Nation. Happy Fathers to all you fathers and all you children who have fathers that owe your motorsports fandom to. All right, man, we'll do it. We'll make it official. 23 years next Sunday night. And as we've been doing for the last almost 23 years, shoot the juice to the moose to Statt Man.
Cut it loose.
Yep.
Speed Freaks, Motorsports Radio.